This is First Read, a podcast of Edenton Street United Methodist Church where the preachers for this upcoming Sunday read the appointed text for the first time. Join us now for our first read. This coming Sunday is the 18th Sunday after Pentecost. My name is Amanda Rigby, and I'll be preaching in the sanctuary.
And my name is Kevin Baker. I'll be preaching in the gathering.
And my name is Emanuel.
Well, our gospel passage for Sunday is from Mark chapter 9, verses 30 through 37. Do you want me to read it? Do you want to read it?
Go ahead.
Okay. This is Mark 9. It says, "From there, Jesus and his followers went through Galilee, but he didn't want anyone to know it. This was because he was teaching his disciples, 'The human one will be delivered into human hands. They will kill him. 3 days after he is killed, he will rise up.' But they didn't understand this kind of talk, and they were afraid to ask him. They entered Capernaum. When they had come into a house, he asked them, 'What were you arguing about during the journey?' They didn't respond, since on the way they had been debating with each other about who was the greatest. He sat down, called the 12, and said to them, 'Whoever wants to be first must be least of all, and the servant of all.' Jesus reached for a little child, placed him among the 12, and embraced him. Then he said, 'Whoever welcomes one of these children in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me isn't actually welcoming me, but rather the one who sent me.' This is the word of God for us, the people of God."
Thanks be to God. Picking up a little bit where we left off last week.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious that Jesus uses a child as an object lesson. It says he grabs him and then puts him in the middle in front of everybody and is like, "Look at this." And it's just really funny because I feel like in children's sermons, we always do object lessons, but Jesus uses a child as an object lesson. Not that children are objects, but it's pretty funny.
It is. You know, I was reading, as you were reading it this time, I was actually thinking about, there's like two pregnant pauses or silences that I don't know that I paid attention to as closely before. Like, the first one is like Jesus says this crazy stuff, right? Hey, they're going to kill him. 3 days later, I'm going to, what? We're just getting started. Mm-hmm. And they don't understand this kind of talk, and they're afraid to ask. So no, there's this weird pause. But then the next one is like, they're arguing, and then he goes like, "What are you arguing about?" And they're like, not going to talk. I don't know. I just wanted to mention that.
Oh, it's funny. It's interesting. I wonder if they're afraid of Jesus. I've never really thought about that before, but it does say they were afraid to ask him.
Right.
But what are they afraid of?
Interesting.
And then when he asked them a direct question, they're like,
Well, this is pretty heavy, weighty stuff. Like this is foreboding. It's a little scary. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then, oh yeah, by the way, we were just over here arguing. You're like, no, me. No, not you. No, me. I'm I'm the best. I'm in charge. I'm the greatest, not you. The little things that we argue about in the church is like, this is so real, right?
Yeah. Well, and I always appreciate when the disciples are human. Like, it's so easy for us to reify them or say that they were really good. It's also really easy for us to say like, oh man, the disciples didn't know anything. They were always messing everything up. But I feel like this is kind of like middle ground of like, they're just being human. They're trying their best. They're not sure what Jesus is saying. They're doing human things like arguing about who's the best. Like, I don't know. It just feels really relatable. Not that I commonly argue with other people about who's the best, but there are small things, unimportant things that I pay attention to way more than I pay attention to Jesus and what Jesus would say or have me do. So it just feels very human, very relatable.
Definitely. Any thoughts over there, E-Man?
Just a silly thought because, I mean, they're arguing about who's the greatest, and then the greatest shows up. So, like, that's one thing. But the other silly thing is it just, because I just think of this sports thing. It's like, no, LeBron's the greatest, or Michael Jordan's the greatest, or whatever. And like you're saying, it's just like kind of a silly conversation, but we get really tied up on it. But yeah, just really thinking that,
Goat.
yeah, the goat shows up. Jesus the goat appears. If you don't know what that means, it stands for greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goat.
The goat. Except in some ways, Jesus is like, no, this kid over here, that's the goat. Right?
That's true.
I mean, like, not me and not you.
Yeah.
And over here, I don't know. I love kids, and I kind of get stupid in front of them. and I do it in front of other people, not because I just quit being self-conscious about it a long time ago, but I have to remind myself, like, when I see a baby or a kid, even coming into church or something like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, look up at the adults occasionally too, because they want to be acknowledged, like somebody's holding a baby, and you're like greeting them, talking to, oh yeah, there's a mom holding the baby too, or I don't know. I've always loved that about Jesus. That I know you were saying like object lesson earlier, but I know you can't necessarily conflate these stories, but that other story where, the disciples are, where Jesus, where there's a child coming and they're like, no, we're doing serious adult stuff over here.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be, they don't say this, but it's that church mentality, be seen, not heard, yeah. And I think the church, I mean, I love when there's all the wonderful noises of kids in worship. It doesn't, in fact, sometimes I have to say that just to let everybody else, especially parents or other parents, just like breathe, don't worry about it. And the people that stress over it, hopefully they can not, I don't know.
Yeah. I had a mentor who once said, like, the only sound worse than a screaming baby in a church service is silence in a church service.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true. Yeah.
Some of my favorite images are, I sit back in the booth on Sunday mornings, and some of our most consistent servants are high schoolers or younger.
Mm-hmm.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, there was one. There is one particular. He's in middle school now, but until this school year, he was a fifth grader, and he's back there operating what you might think is a very complicated-looking piece of equipment. But lo and behold, there's this one of my best friends, fifth grader, and he's switching the cameras, and he's doing such a good job. And he stands up, and he's not quite tall enough to see over the AV booth. And so now I'm thinking of Jesus being like, "Hey, let me give you a boost to get over the AV booth, so people can see, the example you're setting over here."
Yeah, I love that.
Over the years, I was like, anything that kids do, or finding ways to let them use their gifts has been to me amazing. Like even acolytes. Like it doesn't. By the way, adults can do acolyting too. But I just love that. I mean, it's like makes my day. To like talk with them, hear about their morning. Usually, like a little sleep deprived if they had to get up early or something like that. But I don't know, just having them. I don't know, be in those spaces and bring their gifts and bring their worship in their own way, whether it's in the sound booth or somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little bit convicted as we talk about this because it's just going to be very vulnerable and honest. One of my least favorite moments, just let me explain before you judge me. One of my least favorite moments on Sunday mornings is the prayer with children. And it's not because of the children. I don't know. There's lots of reasons why. I think one of the reasons why I don't like that moment, it's not because I don't like children. It's just because anything could happen. And sometimes it does. Like a couple weeks ago, I was in the sanctuary, and we love it when Shannon Montague, our director of children and family ministries, can do that because she's so good at it and has literally been a teacher and an instructor for years. So she's always our like first choice for that moment. And when she's not available, obviously we can do it. As pastors, it's part of our ordination to like instruct the children of the parish or something like that. So I do it gladly. But a couple weeks ago, I was talking and I didn't ask a question or anything, and someone just raised their hand. A child raised his hand. And then it puts me in a hard position of like, I either acknowledge him and hear whatever it is that he has to say unprompted, or I ignore him and look like a jerk. So it's like an impossible situation. So I it's like, do you have a question? And he just said, no, but I just forgot how long church is.
Yes.
And so I had to explain to him, like,
There it is.
hey, we're doing our best here. We're trying to keep it snappy, I guess. But it was just hilarious. But I think there's just like this humility that children bring with them. I think they embody humility. I think they humble others. And I think maybe that's what Jesus is trying to get at here. Like, kids are not so concerned. I love that you said, like, you stop being so self-conscious when you're around kids. And I think that that's an invitation that they offer to us. And it's why Jesus would hold them up as an example for us, as opposed to someone we should keep out or keep away or keep there, but maybe keep silent.
And they're also so real, like that question.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's adults that have that question.
That's right.
How long is
We
church?
were all thinking it.
Yeah. And then
And
I
they're
was like,
here it is. I've been thinking this. Could you answer it
That's
before
right.
the rest of the service is over?
That's right. And I had been talking and I'm like, I think maybe that's just like the sign that I'm talking too long. I'm thinking too hard about this. Like, I need to just say a prayer with them and let them go to Wiggler worship where they're going to have such a great time. Like, I don't know. I just overthink that moment all the time, but that was such a humbling, and then I have to repeat back to the congregation, like what this child said that they couldn't hear. And so then I had to tell them. I don't know. It was just funny. It's funny. It's always a funny moment.
See, I love all that stuff. I just love it. It just kind of busts up our, all of our serious stuff and just reminds us, okay, keep it real.
Yeah.
Keep it real.
No, it's really good. That was my point.
Yeah, it is good.
My point wasn't that I don't like children. I love children. I think they're great.
We heard you.
Okay.
We got that. That's awesome. I think too, I don't know how much time we have, but I was going to say one more thing about that. One is that children, there's this passage also in the scriptures about, having a mature faith. So when I hear Jesus say, be like a child, I don't hear him saying, be childish. I think I hear him saying, yes, we want a mature faith. We want to move from, in that other passage, milk to meat.
Mm-hmm.
But what does a child bring? This, a helplessness, like a baby is, right? So that like we come to God needy. We come to God with, like you said, humility, but also we're not so. When you're younger, you're not so tainted by the world that you quit trusting or you quit risking love. And the older you get, you kind of shut yourself off for a lot of that. So I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I also think curiosity too.
Right.
Kids are so curious and they don't keep that to themselves. And I think somehow along the way we lose our curiosity. And
that's good.
It's a virtue that I think Jesus, like your sermon on Sunday, Jesus asks 307 questions and answers 3 of them or whatever it is. So I think
depends on how you number them, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Clearly the weight's on the curious questions.
Yeah.
I am super lucky and privileged that I have returned to becoming a youth small group leader this year. And so I have the 6th graders now. And
oh boy.
And like this was I learned so much on Sunday night. I think there were probably about 10 6th graders. And our goal for the first night of youth group was to get our community covenant together. So this is what our small group space will look like every time 6th graders walk into the 6th grade small group room. And, there's shout out to the Bolo renovation team. Looks amazing over there,
It
but
does.
It really does.
there's new whiteboard walls in all of the small group spaces.
Mhm.
And so, I had them come in and write their names on the wall. And our sixth grade small group space is shared with the room for L'Arche. So L'Arche's kind of conference table is right there.
Mhm.
And I was like, all right, y'all, do you want to sit here at the conference table like business people, or do you want to sit over in, the couch area over there? And they were like, business people. And so, the table wasn't quite big enough for everybody, but we crammed in and it was great. And it was so cool seeing, sixth graders. I think we have, I don't know what kind of understanding of where humans are in each stage of life, but these sixth graders are so smart.
Mm.
And I sat them down. I was like, okay, we're all CEOs at this table. What are you the CEO of? And just hearing all of the things that they said. And then when it came around to the community covenant that we built together, we had them say, hey, these are the covenantal kind of guidelines that we're all going to follow. And we had them come up with them themselves, and just getting to see them self-elect and say, hey, let's be respectful when each other talk, and then have the whole board of directors approve that motion.
I love it.
Or somebody saying something and then somebody else saying, oh, well, maybe we should do it this way, and them responding to that. I was just like, gosh, learning so much about how to be with each other from this group of kids, this group of young people.
I know I'm new here, but I'm just thrilled by the way, just even being at the kickoff and watching all of this intergenerational work, these small groups and all the different grade groups that have small groups with young adults or older adults a part of those. I don't know. That was just amazing to me. And I think I'm a big fan of the sticky faith people, that you need this intergenerational ministry. You need to be able to have, those 5 people, every kid, every youth, every young person needs 5 people that are not their parents, that are not their guardians, in their life, like people that they can rely on, so that, they really do feel that connection in the body of Christ. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Props to our amazing youth team. It's such good work.
Yeah.
We were in that room yesterday, and I was looking at the covenant on the back of the door. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Is there something about Las Vegas on there?
Las Vegas rule. So the Las Vegas rule is what happens in small groups stays in small groups.
Oh, okay. I like
So just a kind of boundary of trust. It's like, yes, talk to your trusted
part
adults,
of the covenant, I guess.
Amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
but maybe don't gossip about what we said in confidence of seeking prayer. So,
Nice.
That's good.
Las Vegas rule.
Love that.
That's good.
Awesome. Such good work. Well, this coming Sunday, we're going to be diving into this scripture passage and hopefully learning from the most humble among us. And we hope that you'll join us, and we'll see you then.
Yes.
See you then.